Usually you don't think about these things during a relationship because you're just dealing with people, right? Uh,
Love. You're dealing with love.
Well, you don't think of the law at that particular point in time.
Mm.
You see a person in need or whatever, you feel pity for the person, you feel sad for the person, and then afterwards, all these things can be used against you. Yeah.
But yeah, let's continue with the breakdown of the PRA, the Property Relationships Act. RJ, do you have uh, um, some knowledge of this PRA? I mean, not a knowledge. I don't expect you to have in-depth knowledge, but the concept,
Yeah,
if you
it's
don't mind.
not. Yeah, it's not a foreign concept. Well, it's not a foreign concept in the sense that uh, a lot of countries have more or less similar rules or similar laws. What does surprise me, so the laws I'm referring to is the law that you would, so you can be qualified as a, well, here they call it a de facto relationship situation, but you can be qualified as a de facto marriage as well, de facto cohabitation. There are cohabitation laws in the US, in other civil law countries such as the Netherlands and other countries in the West, where you might, so let's say parties, the partners can get more or less equivalent rights and obligations if they have been in a long-term relationship for a particular point in time,
Mm,
for a particular time span. What does surprise me in this specific situation is how short of a time span it is. So 3 months is nothing. 3 years is
yeah.
nothing. 3 years is a relationship. I mean, that can go by so fast, right? In the Netherlands, for example, the it's 12 years if I'm not mistaken. In the US, it differs from state to state, but 3 years is, it flies by so fast. And get a to be able to get a right to 50% of someone else in 3 years is a lot, in my opinion. um, I mean, I understand the rise of city boys. It's
Sunny boy, Sunny boy.
it's that is what I find crazy.
Before
But
before you
yeah,
continue, just for to give us a better perspective of this, if you do, so we basically named all the definition of the definition of New Zealand of the de facto relationship. Do they have to check all these points, or is it a couple of them? How does it in general the concept work? So you have to have all these checkpoints in order to basically fall under the de facto relationship.
so a difference from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Um, but usually you would look at a couple of, you would
Mm,
look at the all the information, all the variables.
mm,
So in the case of a marriage, you know when the moment starts, right? As soon as you get married, you get the situation where your assets and liability can become one. So more or less, at least you can prepare yourself. You can make the choice before you get married to get a prenup. So that's the let's say the benefit of marriage, or at least you know you're going to enter into something serious, so you can make the choice before you get in. Hey, am I going to get a prenup or not, or not? You can always get a postnup post-nuptial nuptial agreement, but that's the same agreement, but after you're married. But the difference is once you're married, you don't have leverage, or at least very little leverage compared to before you get married, right? So before you get married, you can say, okay, I will only get married with a prenup. So that's
Titanic already sunk.
yeah. Now I have to say that you have countries where, and I believe the Netherlands is one since 2 years ago or something, where where you will automatically get married with separate assets.
Yes, they changed that law.
They
Yeah.
changed that recently, right? So, but that's a law that's in favor. So there in the Netherlands, for example, you can get married without a prenup, and you would still have the same. You basically have a prenup by law,
I
right?
know, yeah.
But
You have to
it's
register everything, though. Make sure you register everything.
but
That-
that's always the case. That's something that a lot of people don't do, because they forget that if you don't register things during the marriage, you, let's say some people get married with a prenup when they have nothing, and then they
Mm.
build assets together. So those assets, if you don't split them during the marriage, the prenup does basically doesn't have any added value.
Can I register the if you
The-
buy from? It's an asset. It's an asset. I gave her some assets.
actually, the
Can you
assets
register
are
that as well? I want half of.
no, actually those are the brassets. The assets are
I want half. Call the surgeon.
that's
Oh,
something else, man. That's something else. I think that's
no, continue. Continue.
but yeah. So but usually, those are factors, but certain factors play more of a role than others.
Mm.
So the burden of proof will be on in this case, the partner, the spouse, in this that claims that there is a cohabitation situation, right? That there is a de facto what relationship was it?
De facto
Uh,
relationship. Yeah.
there was a de facto relationship present. So the burden of proof would lie on her, and that means that she would need to prove that, in fact, these variables were present during
The
the
time
time
frame.
that they were together. Sometimes things that some disputes that arise. For example, let's say during the relationship they had a fight and they broke off. They broke up for a particular point in time, and then they got back together. The question would be whether or not the breakup was significant enough to be considered
Reset.
as a reset or not. Another thing, maybe they lived together but they didn't have, let's say they live together, but the once one partner had a relationship with someone else, the other partner had a relationship with another person, but legally they both had the same address. Officially, they both had the same address. Does it constitute a relationship? Yes or no? So those are all the various factors. Now you can imagine, I can say, okay, we're over, and the partner will lie, or cry, Freudian slip. The partner will cry and say, no, okay, but I don't have a place to go. Can I stay here until I find another place? Do you have that documented? Small things like that. Usually you don't think about these things during a relationship because you're just dealing with people, right?
Love. You're dealing with love.
Well, yes. Yeah, I mean, you don't think of the law at that particular point in time.
Mm.
You see a person in need or whatever, you feel pity for the person, you feel sad for the person, and you
And
just,
you. No, I'm gonna say. Oh,
yeah.
continue. Continue.
And then afterwards all these things can be used against you, because if you're going to court, you would need to prove things, and yeah, But as I said, the 3-year period I find very, very short.